English Bridge Podcast.
From your favorite healing space.
If you're under 35 and already feeling like you need a 6-month break just to feel normal again, the problem isn't that you need more vacation days. The problem is you've been running on a system that was designed to break you.
And here's the part that nobody talks about. The exhaustion you feel right now isn't from working too hard this week. It's from emotional labor you've been doing for years that nobody ever taught you how to stop.
Most people don't burn out from one big fire, Cheryl. They burn out from 1,000 small matches they never learned to blow out.
Welcome back to English Bridge. I'm Cheryl, and when I was teaching in Shanghai, I watched so many of my students in their late 20s just completely fall apart. They weren't lazy. They were some of the hardest workers I've ever met.
And I'm Noah. I used to work as a counselor, and I can't tell you how many 28-year-olds sat across from me saying the exact same thing. I thought I'd feel successful by now, but I just feel tired all the time.
What really got me was seeing students who did everything right. Good jobs, healthy routines, supportive families, and they still felt completely empty, like they were running on fumes and couldn't figure out why.
That's because burnout before 35 isn't about doing too much. It's about carrying invisible weight that your body was never designed to hold for this long, and most of that weight? It's emotional, not physical.
Wait, so you're saying it's not just about working long hours or having a tough boss? There's something deeper going on here?
Exactly, Cheryl. We're going to break down why your generation is hitting empty before they even hit their stride, and more importantly, what you can actually do about it before it gets worse.
Because here's the thing. If you're listening to this and you're thinking, yeah, that's me, you're not broken. You're just operating with outdated software in a world that changed the rules without telling you.
Today we're going to explore 5 scenarios you'll recognize immediately. 4 psychological reasons this is happening, and real stories from people who found a way out. Not someday, this year.
And Noah, I want to push you on something. A lot of advice out there is like, just practice self-care or set boundaries. But what does that actually mean when your boss expects you online at 10 p.m.?
That's exactly the question we need to answer. Because the solutions that worked for previous generations don't map onto the reality you're living in. The game changed, and nobody updated the playbook.
So we're going to get specific, not vague inspiration. Actual things you can try tomorrow morning that won't require you to quit your job or move to a mountain.
Because the truth is, most people don't need a radical life overhaul. They need to understand what's actually draining them so they can stop pouring energy into a bucket with holes in it.
Okay, Noah, let's start by painting the picture. What does this actually feel like for someone living it right now?
Let's go there. Because if we can name it, we can change it. Picture this. It's Sunday evening, and you finally have a few hours to yourself. No meetings, no deadlines, nothing urgent. But instead of relaxing, your brain is running through a mental checklist of everything you didn't finish.
Oh, I've been there. You're sitting on the couch, maybe trying to watch something, but you can't actually focus because your mind has like 20 browser tabs open. Half of them aren't even important, but they're all demanding attention.
Exactly. And here's what makes it worse. You start feeling guilty for not relaxing properly. So now you're tired from the week and anxious about wasting your rest time. It's exhaustion layered on top of exhaustion.
And then you start thinking, if I can't even enjoy my day off, what's the point? Like the one thing that's supposed to recharge you just makes you feel more behind.
That's because your nervous system never actually shifted out of work mode. Your body is still on high alert even though there's no emergency. It's like leaving your car engine running all night. Eventually, something breaks.
So even when you're doing nothing, you're not really resting. You're just sitting still while your brain keeps sprinting. Okay, that leads right into the second thing I see all the time.
Scenario 2. You're technically off the clock, but you're never really off. Your phone is always within reach. You check Slack just in case. You skim emails before bed because what if something urgent came in?
When I was teaching in Shanghai, I had this friend who worked in marketing, and she would literally wake up in the middle of the night to check if her boss had messaged her. Not because he told her to, she just couldn't stop herself.
That's your nervous system stuck in hypervigilance. Your brain interprets every notification as a potential threat, so your body stays flooded with cortisol. You're exhausted from things that didn't even happen yet.
Right. So you're running on adrenaline all day preparing for problems that might never come. And your body can't tell the difference between a work email and an actual physical danger.
It's like being a firefighter who never leaves the station. You're always geared up, always ready to respond, never truly at ease. That's not sustainable, Cheryl.
And the worst part is, everyone around you is doing the same thing, so it feels normal. Like, oh, you don't answer emails at midnight? You must not care about your job. Let me tell you about the third scenario.
Scenario 3. You finally get a free Saturday. No obligations, no plans. Total freedom. And instead of feeling excited, you feel paralyzed. What should you do? Everything sounds exhausting, even the things you used to enjoy.
Yes, I remember having a student who loved painting, but on her days off, she'd just scroll her phone for hours because deciding what to paint felt like too much work. She had the time, but she was too drained to use it.
That's decision fatigue meeting burnout. Freedom requires energy to make choices, and when you're already running on empty, even small decisions feel impossible. So you default to the path of least resistance, which is usually numbing out.
And then you feel guilty about that too, right? Like, I wasted my whole day off doing nothing. But it's not laziness. It's that your brain literally doesn't have the fuel to make another decision.
Exactly. It's the paradox of burnout. You need rest, but rest requires intention. And intention requires energy you don't have. So you end up stuck in this loop of passive non-rest.
Okay, but there's another layer to this that I think people don't talk about enough. Let me describe scenario 4.
Go ahead, Cheryl. I think I know where you're going with this.
Scenario 4. You spend all day managing other people's emotions, smiling at customers who are being difficult, calming down your stressed out coworker, pretending you're fine when your family asks how you're doing.
That's emotional labor, and it's one of the most underestimated drains on your energy. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for self-control and emotional regulation, burns through glucose fast when you're performing all day.
And the thing is, nobody sees that work. If you're lifting boxes, people can see you're tired. But if you're managing your face, your tone, your reactions all day, that's invisible. People just think you're naturally pleasant.
It's like wearing a mask that you can't take off, even when you get home. And every hour you wear it, it gets heavier. By the end of the week, you don't even remember what your real face feels like.
I had so many students in Shanghai who worked in hospitality or customer service, and they'd tell me, I'm so tired of smiling. That's such a specific kind of exhaustion that people who haven't done that work just don't understand. And that brings me to the fifth scenario, which I think is the hardest one for a lot of people under 35.
Let's hear it, Cheryl.
Scenario 5. You open Instagram or LinkedIn, and everyone your age seems to be thriving. Someone just got promoted. Someone else is traveling the world. Another person launched their dream business, and you're just trying to get through the week without crying.
The comparison trap. And here's what makes it so toxic. You're comparing your behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel. You see their wins, but you don't see the 47 rejection emails they got first.
Exactly. And when you're already burnt out, seeing other people succeed doesn't inspire you. It just makes you feel like you're falling behind. Like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I keep up?
So now you're carrying the weight of your own exhaustion, plus the shame of not measuring up to an impossible standard. That's a crushing combination, Cheryl. And it leads us right into the question, why is this happening?
Yeah, because these scenarios aren't just bad luck, right, Noah? There's something structural going on here that's making this generation burn out faster than the ones before.
Absolutely, and the first reason is cognitive load combined with something called the Zeigarnik effect. Your brain uses about 20% of your body's total energy, and when you have dozens of unfinished tasks floating in your head, your brain keeps them active in the background.
Wait, so that half-written email I've been avoiding for 3 days is actually louder in my brain than the 10 emails I already sent today?
Exactly. Incomplete tasks create what psychologists call open loops, and your brain allocates mental resources to track them even when you're not consciously thinking about them. It's like having 15 apps running on your phone at once. It drains the battery even when the screen is off.
So the thing I'm procrastinating on is actually costing me more energy than if I just did it. That's kind of brutal, Noah.
It is. And the practical implication is this. Every unfinished task, every "I'll deal with that later" decision is quietly draining you throughout the day. By evening, you're exhausted and you don't even know why.
Okay, but there's another kind of drain that I think is even sneakier. Let's talk about emotional labor again because I don't think we fully unpacked it yet.
You're right, Cheryl. Let's go deeper on that.
So, emotional labor is basically managing your feelings to meet social or work requirements, right? Like you have to be friendly even when you're having a terrible day?
That's part of it, but it goes beyond customer service. It's also things like being the person who always smooths over conflict in your friend group, or managing your parents' expectations about your career, or performing competence and confidence at work even when you're drowning.
I saw this all the time with my students in Asia. They'd spend all day being the perfect employee, the perfect daughter, the perfect friend, and by the time they got home, there was nothing left for themselves.
That's because emotional regulation happens in the prefrontal cortex, and it's metabolically expensive. Every time you suppress frustration, fake enthusiasm, or swallow your real opinion, you're burning through your limited daily supply of self-control.
And here's where it gets cultural, right? Because in some cultures, this kind of emotional performance isn't optional. It's just how you survive socially.
Exactly, Cheryl. In collectivist cultures, which includes a lot of Asia but also many immigrant communities in the West, maintaining group harmony is often prioritized over individual expression.
But Noah, why does this seem to hit younger people harder? Like their parents did the same thing and didn't burn out at 28.
Because the previous generation had clearer boundaries between work and home, between public and private. Now, with social media and remote work, you're performing 24/7. There's no backstage anymore. It's all front-facing.
Oh, wow. So you were exhausted, not from what you did, but from what you didn't say. From all the times you nodded and smiled when you wanted to push back or say no?
Exactly. And that suppression doesn't disappear. It accumulates. Over months and years, it becomes this heavy, invisible backpack you carry everywhere. And one day you wake up and realize you can barely stand up under the weight.
Which brings us to the fourth reason, and this one is so practical it almost feels mundane, but it's destroying people.
Decision fatigue. You make hundreds of micro decisions every single day. What to eat, what to wear, which email to answer first, whether to go to that event, how to phrase that text message.
Okay, give me a real example because I think people underestimate how draining this actually is.
Sure, you get home from work and you need to pick something to watch on Netflix. But you're so tired that scrolling through options feels impossible. So you just rewatch The Office for the 12th time because it requires zero mental effort.
And then you feel bad about that too, right? Like, I wasted my evening watching something I've already seen. But it's not about discipline. It's that your decision-making muscle is completely tapped out.
Right. And what most people don't realize is that decision-making and self-control draw from the same pool of mental energy. So every time you resist checking your phone, choose the salad over the burger, or decide to go to the gym, you're depleting the same resource.
So by the end of the day, you don't have the energy left to make good choices for yourself. You're just in survival mode. And that's where the stories come in, Noah. Because theory is one thing, but I want to hear about real people.
Let me tell you about a client I worked with a few years ago. Her name was Megan, 29, project manager at a tech company. She came to me because she was having panic attacks on Sunday nights just thinking about Monday morning.
Oh no, that's such a specific kind of dread, like your body is reacting to the idea of the week before it even starts.
Exactly. And here's what she was doing wrong. She thought the solution was to work harder and prove herself so she could finally relax. So she'd stay late, answer emails at midnight, volunteer for extra projects. She was trying to earn permission to rest.
But why didn't she just set boundaries and say no to some of that stuff? What held her back?
Fear. She grew up in a family where love was conditional on achievement. So in her mind, if she stopped performing, people would stop valuing her. She wasn't working hard because she wanted to. She was working hard because she was terrified of what would happen if she stopped.
That's heartbreaking, Noah. So what happened? Did she eventually burn out completely?
She did. She ended up taking medical leave for 3 months. And the hardest lesson she learned was this: the world didn't fall apart without her. Her team adapted. Her projects got reassigned, and life went on. The urgency she felt was real to her, but it wasn't real to the world.
So the thing she was most afraid of, being replaceable, was actually the thing that could have set her free earlier. That reminds me of someone I knew when I was teaching in Shanghai.
I'm curious, Cheryl. Tell me more.
I had a student named David, 26, worked in finance. He was doing the same thing Megan was, just grinding nonstop, sleeping 4 hours a night, living on coffee and takeout. He thought he was building his future.
Let me guess. His body eventually forced him to stop?
Not quite. What happened was his younger brother got sick and David had to fly home to help take care of him. He was gone for 2 weeks, completely unplugged. And when he came back, he told me something that stuck with me.
What did he say?
He said, "For the first time in years, I felt like I mattered because of who I was, not what I produced." Being with his brother reminded him that his value wasn't tied to his output, and that shifted something fundamental.
That's powerful, Cheryl. Because what he discovered was that rest isn't the absence of work. It's the presence of connection and meaning. You can't fix burnout by doing nothing. You fix it by doing things that remind you why you're alive.
Exactly. And after that, David started making small changes. He joined a running group, started cooking again, set a hard stop time for work, not because he was trying to be more productive, but because he wanted to feel human again. That connects to another client you worked with, right, Noah?
It does, Cheryl. Let me tell you about James.
I'm ready.
James was 31, graphic designer, freelance. He was burnt out, but in a different way. Not from overwork, but from never feeling like he was doing enough. He'd finish a project and immediately feel anxious about where the next one was coming from.
But how did you get him to change? Because just telling someone to stop worrying won't work. What was the actual intervention?
I had him run a micro-experiment. For 1 week, he had to close his laptop at 6 p.m. and do something completely unrelated to work or productivity. No skill building, no networking, no useful activities, just something he enjoyed with no ROI.
Wait, that sounds simple, but I bet it was actually terrifying for him.
It was. The first 2 days he said he felt physically anxious, like he was doing something wrong. But by day 4, something shifted. He started painting again, which he hadn't done since college. And he realized he'd been running so hard because he forgot what it felt like to create without pressure.
So the act of doing something useless reminded him that he was more than his productivity. That's beautiful, Noah. And it actually reminds me of one more student I need to tell you about.
I feel for her already. Creative fields plus social media. That's a brutal combination.
I had a student named Lisa, 27, worked as a UX designer. She was obsessed with what other designers were posting online. Every time someone shared a cool project, she'd feel like her own work wasn't good enough. She was exhausted from comparing herself constantly.
But why didn't she just stop scrolling? What kept pulling her back?
She thought she needed to stay visible to get opportunities. But really, she was avoiding the deeper fear that maybe she wasn't as talented as she wanted to be. Scrolling gave her something to blame for her insecurity instead of facing it directly.
That's classic avoidance behavior disguised as professional development. She was using comparison as a way to procrastinate on her own growth.
Exactly. And the turning point came when she got passed over for a promotion she really wanted. She was devastated at first, but then she made a decision. She deleted Instagram for 30 days and started a personal project with zero pressure.
And let me guess, without the constant comparison, she actually started enjoying her work again?
Yes, she told me I forgot that I actually like designing things. I was so busy looking at what everyone else was making that I lost touch with my own taste. And that changed everything for her.
So the solution wasn't to work harder or be better. It was to stop outsourcing her sense of worth to an algorithm. That's the thread that runs through all these stories. Cheryl, burnout isn't fixed by doing more. It's fixed by doing less of the wrong things.
Okay, so we've talked about what burnout feels like and why it happens, but I want to go deeper, Noah. What are the early warning signs that most people miss before they hit rock bottom?
Great question. The first one is body signals. Chronic tension in your shoulders, shallow breathing, clenching your jaw without realizing it. Your body is raising flags long before your mind admits something's wrong.
I used to notice this with my students all the time. They'd be sitting in class with their shoulders practically up to their ears, and when I pointed out, they'd be shocked. Like, oh, I didn't even realize I was doing that.
That's because your nervous system adapts to chronic stress and starts treating it as normal. Your body is screaming, but you learn to ignore the signals. It's like a fire alarm that's been going off so long you don't hear it anymore.
So, what you're saying is, if you can't remember the last time your jaw was relaxed, that's a red flag.
Exactly, and here's another one people miss, the myth of the perfect moment. You tell yourself, I'll rest properly when I finish this project, or I'll take care of myself after I get through this busy season.
But Noah, that busy season never actually ends, does it? There's always another project, another deadline, another reason to push rest to next month.
Right? And meanwhile, you're accumulating a sleep debt and a nervous system debt that you can never fully repay. The perfect moment to start resting was 6 months ago. The second best moment is today.
Okay, but here's where I want to push you on something. A lot of people say rest, but they mean scrolling TikTok for 2 hours or binge watching a show. Is that actually rest, or are we lying to ourselves?
That's passive consumption, not active rest. Real rest is anything that restores your energy rather than just numbing your awareness of how tired you are. Passive rest feels easy in the moment, but it doesn't actually recharge you.
So what does real rest look like, Noah? Like, I have a free Tuesday evening. What should I actually do?
Something that engages you without demanding performance. A walk without your phone. Cooking a meal you enjoy. Playing with a dog. Reading fiction. Talking to a friend about something that isn't work. Anything where you're present and not performing.
So rest is active, not passive. That's counterintuitive, but it makes sense. And I'm guessing you're going to say something about micro-experiments here too?
I am. Because the biggest mistake people make is waiting until they have a free weekend or a vacation to make changes. By then, you're too depleted to do anything meaningful. The solution is micro-experiments, the smallest possible action you can take tomorrow.
Okay, Noah, that's the theory. But what does someone actually do on Monday morning? Give me something concrete I can try.
Here's one. Before you check your email, take 60 seconds to write down 3 things that are bothering you. Not to solve them, just to name them. That simple act of externalizing the mental load reduces the background noise in your brain by about 30%.
Wait, just writing them down helps, even if I don't do anything about them yet?
Yes, because it moves them from an open loop in your head to a closed loop on paper. Your brain can stop tracking them actively. It's not a cure, but it's a meaningful first step that takes less than 2 minutes.
Okay, I love that. And I think that's the perfect bridge into giving people actual tools they can use this week, Noah.
Let's do it, Cheryl. Let's get practical. First, do a cognitive load audit. At the end of today, spend 5 minutes doing a brain dump. Write down every unfinished task, every I should thought, every tiny thing you're mentally tracking. You'll be shocked at how much you're carrying.
And just seeing it all on paper makes it feel less overwhelming, right? Because when it's swirling in your head, it feels infinite. But on paper, it's just a list you can actually work with.
Second, schedule nothing time. Put a 30-minute block on your calendar labeled unavailable. And during that time, you do absolutely nothing productive. No emails, no errands, no self-improvement. Just exist.
I know people who would feel guilty doing that, Noah. Like, I can't just sit around when I have so much to do. But that guilt is exactly why they need it.
Third, complete one microcycle. Pick the smallest unfinished task that's been nagging you. Maybe it's a 2-sentence email or washing one dish, and finish it completely. Let your brain experience the dopamine hit of closure.
Oh, that's the Zeigarnik effect thing you mentioned earlier. Give your brain permission to stop tracking that open loop. I like that.
Fourth, name the specific type of tired you are. Are you physically exhausted, mentally overstimulated, emotionally drained, socially depleted? Each type requires a different kind of rest, and most people don't differentiate.
So if I'm emotionally drained from managing people's feelings all day, scrolling my phone won't fix it. I need actual solitude or connection with someone who doesn't require me to perform.
Fifth, set one boundary this week. Not 10, 1. Tell one person, I can't do that right now, or turn off notifications after 8 p.m., or say no to one social event that feels like an obligation. Practice the muscle.
Because boundaries aren't something you're good at or bad at. They're something you practice. And every time you do it, it gets a little bit easier.
Burnout isn't a personal failure. It's what happens when you ignore your body's early warnings for long enough that it has to force you to stop.
And if you're listening to this and you recognize yourself in these stories, please hear this. You're not lazy, you're not weak, and you're not broken. You're just carrying weight you were never meant to hold alone.
If this conversation resonated with you, send it to someone who needs to hear it today.
And make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss what's coming next. We've got something really good lined up.
I'm Noah.
And I'm Cheryl. See you on the bridge.